Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Joe Stunner Boxing. I hope you're doing well, because the day of reckoning, oh, brothers and sisters, it's almost upon us. Just over 24 hours, and we'll be, wallowing in Saudi sports washing money and hopefully some good fights. But I thought I'd leave some final thoughts, really, just sort of a random, miscellaneous, off the cuff sort of video, because I do think this is, regardless of the whole Saudi issue, the sports washing, the Jarrell Miller being on the card, which I don't approve of, and other things that I've covered in previous videos. I'm not going to rehash those, but I'm just going to go through the card and sort of give a few opinions on the fights that I haven't covered in previous videos, and just make a few observations, and then you can leave your comments below, and I'm always interested to read them. I do apologise, I don't get the time to reply to all your comments now, because we've got quite a few subscribers, 2,700, whatever it is. But rest assured, I do read every comment. So if you leave one, I'm gonna read it, okay, and do the little thumbs up thing and the little heart thing, because I do appreciate your time. But let's go through the card. First of all, let's start with Filip Hergovich against Mark Deore. Now, I cannot think in recent years of a bigger mismatch than this fight. I fully expect Filip Hergovich to knock out Mark Deore in one round, and I've put money on it. If Deore makes it into the early stages of the second round, I suppose that's not surprising. If he goes past 2 rounds, I will be surprised. And if he goes any length in this fight, then you're going to have to really start asking questions about Filip Hergovich, because he should be getting rid of this guy, 42 years old, never beaten anyone of note, apparently learnt to box on the internet, has looked terrible in some of his fights, very, very slow. Look, I'm not slagging the guy off. He's earning a living. He obviously loves boxing. He likes doing it, but he is a low level guy. I would expect someone like Moses Atama or another prospect to get rid of this guy in 1 round, or possibly 2 or 3 maybe, I fully expect Hergovich to knock him out. It's a payday for Hergovich. Okay, fair enough, but come on, man. I mean, I know he's protecting his IBF mandatory position. I get that. I mean, that's okay. But you've got to ask, apart from a paycheck for Filip, what's the point of it? Anyway, there we are. And to be honest with you, Frank Sanchez and Junior Farr on any other card would be another one that would jump out as a complete mismatch. I fully expect Frank Sanchez to get rid of Junior Farr in... It could even be a 1-rounder. Wouldn't surprise me remotely. But certainly 3 rounds or less. I mean, I think Farr will go out in a round against Sanchez. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in last 3 or maybe 4. I mean, I wouldn't be that as surprised as I would be to see Deore last against Hergovich. But come on, Sanchez, if he's got any wherewithal, he'll be smashing this guy to bits, really. Don't forget, Farr got done in a round by Lucas Brown, who was past his best anyway. Okay, he might have been thinking, well, I went the distance with Parker, so Brown's shot, so I can just, take it easy. No, you can't. Brown does have a little bit of power, landed it on Farr and got him out of there early. Perhaps Farr will be he should be a lot more conservative, a lot more reticent about Frank Sanchez, but I don't see him lasting long at all. I think this will be probably a 1-rounder, certainly 3 or less. Makhmudov and Kabayel, I did a video on that. I think that is the dark horse of this card. Could be a very, very entertaining fight while it lasts. I picked Makhmudov to win. Dubois and Miller, I cannot predict this fight. I did a video saying that I just can't predict, because we don't know what we're getting with Miller. Could be entertaining, or it could be a mauling match. If I was in Dubois' boots, I would look to make it a dull fight, just jab, right hand, bang to the body as well, which if, and that's a big if, Miller is not on any kind of substances and is clean and tested by VADA, found clean, so on and so forth. If he hasn't done any recent cycles, to the body, if he's 300 pounds or over, I mean, you've got to be banging to those ribs. It'll be that, like I always say, that melted chocolate sundae, rather than the large condom stuff with giant walnuts that he was in the past. But I think Dubois, if he boxes conservatively and uses his skills and power, and he does have skills, people make fun of Dubois because he's quit twice. once with some justification. But he has skills, and he does hit hard. So I think he should be able to handle Miller. But you just never know. You never know what you're getting with Miller. So I don't know. I'm not even going to predict that one. As for Jai Opetaya against Ellis Zorro, I mean, Ellis Zorro's undefeated, 17-0. He's only got 7 KOs. He won the WBO European Cruiserweight title, was it, or some nonsense like that. But, you know, the guy's fought. I mean, Deck Spellman, 3 fights ago, he fought Deck before Deck was forced to retire. Deck Spellman really is the light heavyweight. Got outpointed in 8 rounds. And Spellman gave him some problems. He was on the floor, actually, I think in the 4th. But he gave Ellis Zorro some problems in that fight. And a lot of people felt that he might have pinched it at the end. But, you know, he did get rid of Hosea Burton for that WBO European Cruiserweight title in 7 rounds. But look, Jai Opetaya, I mean, against Jordan Thompson, I was someone that thought Opetaya had a big question mark over him because of the double break to the jaw and the fact that he'd been through hell with Marius Bradis. And you were thinking, well, I was thinking, has that taken years off him? What's he going to be like? So I thought Thompson would do quite well in that fight. You know, might even last the distance. How wrong was I? Sometimes we get things totally wrong because Opetaya was absolutely excellent. I mean, he really was. He was. Sorry, my phone is ringing. Excuse me. This is what happens when you. Shall I answer that? No, it's a number we don't know of. Moving on. Sorry about that. Moving on. Yeah, Opetaya looked better than ever, and you know, I think he's the best cruiserweight in the world. What else can I tell you? I just think he's a terrific fighter. Really, really good. And I pick him to knock out Chris Billam-Smith. How long does Zorro last? 4, 5, 6 rounds, as far as I can see. I think he's way out of his depth. The only thing is, Opetaya, he might come in and just sort of tread water. Think all I can do is just, you know, go through the motions here and I'm fine. And I'll pick up another win like Thompson. And if Zorro does fight the absolute, you know, best fight possible that he can, and Opetaya is a bit flat, a bit demotivated, yeah, all right, he can go rounds. But I think Opetaya wins this probably by stoppage. Like I say, 4, 5, 6 rounds probably. You know. As far as the rest of the card goes, we have to mention Dimitri Bivol against Lyndon Arthur. Arthur, since being stopped by Anthony Yard, has looked vulnerable to me. He's got his work done. In his last fight, he was on the floor and it was a heavy knockdown. He stopped the guy. It was a guy called Brian Suarez, who he stopped in 10 rounds. But he was on the floor in the 4th round, and he eventually found the punch to knock the guy out. But he did not look. It wasn't an impressive performance at all. He kind of got out of jail with that big punch. Going in with Bivol. Bivol, of course, hasn't stopped anyone since, 2019 or something like that? Something like, I can't even remember when he's last stopped someone. But my God, he goes 12 rounds with ease. And of course, he's got, you know, Canelo on his record, and I think it's even before 2019, like 2018, 2017 maybe. He is the king of going the 12-round distance. 21 wins and 11 KOs. He's probably got more pop than we think, because he is he's the kind who wants to box, who doesn't mind winning those. If it's a 12-round, he'll win 12 individual little fights. He ain't that fussed. But in this case, I think he'll probably look for a stoppage, and he'll probably grind down Lyndon Arthur in about 8 rounds, I would say. About 8 rounds. I think Lyndon will be game. Lyndon strikes me as someone who perhaps lacks a bit of self-belief. I don't mean that as a slight. He's a brave guy. He gets in the ring. He's done the business in the past. The only person who's beaten him is Yard. Not really any shame to that. And he also won the first fight. He's only won one. All this, he scored revenge business. There's a lot of bollocks to me. If it's 1-1, you've got to have a decider, a rubber match. And like Eubank and Liam Williams, they didn't have Liam Smith. They didn't have one. And neither did Yard and Lyndon Arthur. And I think a lot of Lyndon Arthur's issues. And this is only guesswork. This is me playing amateur psychologist again. I think Arthur. The fact that Frank Warren so obviously wanted Yard to win that rematch and then let Lyndon go when he lost, I think that really deflated him. And he was like, oh, what's the point of this? So he kind of went ahead with the fight, but he was kind of ground down mentally by the fact that even his promoter wasn't supporting him. Yeah, I mean, just... Well, I think that says a lot about Frank Warren, doesn't it? I mean, it was kind of the same thing with Joe Joyce and Daniel Dubois. But yeah, so there's that fight. And let's not forget, you know, size doesn't matter as far as Bivol's concerned, because Bivol beat up Zorro, Gilberto Ramirez, over 12 rounds and looked extremely good doing it. And Ramirez was bloody huge. He looks like a heavyweight in there. And then the last two fights on the card, I've done videos for Deontay Wilder and Joseph Parker. I think Wilder will catch Parker eventually, between 8, 9, 10, those sort of rounds. Joshua Wallin, I think Joshua will win on points. I don't think he'll stop Wallin. A lot of people do. But interestingly, when I look at the whole card, Joshua is the only person I'm picking to win by stoppage, which is kind of strange. You know, you don't often get a card where you're only picking one guy to win by stoppage. Now, I think this is overall a really entertaining evening of boxing. But let's not talk nonsense here. There are some mismatches that shouldn't even be taking place, and some other fights which are extremely one-sided in terms of predictions. So, I think it's a mixed bag of a card. But am I going to complain? 23rd of December, just before Christmas, I'm getting this card? Of course not. But like I say, pushing aside the ethics, pushing aside the Saudi issue and so on, and the human rights issue, okay, I still think it's a card worth watching. And of course, I won't be paying pay-per-view. I'll be watching it by other means. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So thoughts below, comments below, etc., etc. Please, you know, whatever you got to say it. You don't have to agree with me. You might think a few upsets are in the making. Let me know what you think. Thank you, as always, for your time and for subscribing to the channel. If you're new to the channel, you can subscribe. I appreciate that. And, yeah, hit the like button as well and spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Many thanks. Merry Christmas. See you soon. Bye for now.